I think the first thing everybody will notice is how dynamic it is. That's the major change. Everything is more fluid, more dynamic, fast-paced. The controls also are way more responsive, and obviously there's a lot of inspiration from ME3 multiplayer. I think there was a sheer pleasure when you play the multiplayer, pure fun. In some of the layouts that were done, less predictable, and we wanted to capture that, including in the single-player experience, and we did that with a number of mechanics. The most obvious one will right away be the jump. It's not a permanent rocket that you will have and you can fly around and wherever. There is a beginning and an end to it. There's really a curve, a momentum curve, that is based on when you do your input. Is it after a sprint, walk, straight? And yes, you can hover. So for example, if you jump and hover, then it gives you time to see the combat layout, even shoot at enemies. Also with progression, those things change and evolve. You can jump further and hover longer, etc. You suddenly add a level of verticality, which changes not only the dynamic, but also how the covers work, because obviously you can jump above cover, over cover, you can have different stage of cover on a single layout. And from multiplayer, we also took the idea that enemies, creatures, and encounters can spawn in different places in the layout, not necessarily facing you. And again, the challenge to remain the tactical aspect that our player loves, because before they were saying the combat layout, there was a number of covers, so they could, decide on a certain tactic even before engaging. And we wanted to keep that depth, which obviously is a challenge when you can go suddenly up, down, sideways. People can spawn behind you, enemies can spawn on the side, etc., etc. The idea is you keep constantly the momentum and you keep moving. When you stop moving, that's for a very specific reason. You need to recharge shield, or there's just too many people, or I need to check on my flank what's going on. Whatever it is, it's a very specific reason. And we even push that, adding some destructible aspect of the environment. Frostbite helps serve that goal, but that goal was defined regardless of Frostbite. There will always be lessons and crossover between the two modes, and I think that's actually very healthy. You have to keep in mind also that in pure terms of teams, it's the same people working on both single player and multiplayer, because the combat as a whole, we're trying again to keep the consistencies. But multiplayer has also his own thing that are not in single player at all. For example, playing alien races. Obviously, we all play games, so we get influenced by a number of games, but also remain focused on the actual franchise and our franchise, our identity. For example, the squad play is key to Mass Effect. So you have 2 squads with you. That hasn't changed, and the way you handle that. But obviously, it's been 5 years. The industry has changed, and I think the stop and go aspect of the third-person shooter will not remain for long. There's still games doing that, and that's great. But then again, responsiveness. I think you see it. Overwatch, Halo, all that, Destiny, you see that idea of we want more responsiveness, we're more fast-paced thing. The key thing here is the balance between the accessibility, the sheer fun of the action, and the depth of RPG system. We can summarize the overall idea by saying we want to get back to the depth of a Mass 1 with the action of Mass 3. That's this balance that we're trying to find with this game. Obviously, what I hope is that first we bring way more people to the franchise, but I hope that they'll just also see Mass Effect not only for his deep narrative story, which obviously is still there, but also to say, hey, I can have 20 minutes of fun with that game. As for every single game, we tried, we fail, we try again. The interesting thing is that if you go back to the very first vision decks, for example, high-level vision decks, that hasn't changed. So it's really about the execution. We're seeing the end, that's the important part, and we're at that phase where the game changes every single day that you play the build, and you can play the game from the beginning to end at this point, which is also a very important step. There's a lot of expectation around the game, so it does influence the way you do things, and it's a different sort of pressure, so there is a legacy to scale. It's a real pleasure to work on something that rich, especially if you add a technology like Frostbite, in addition to that can push the boundaries of this. But it's a great franchise just to work with.